both of them refer to like ways of like managing nerves and kind of those two athletes maybe have different approaches to like managing nerves. When, you know, a pure team sport, a coach might have a message, here's how I want everybody to be locked in mentally. But your sport, like, is it individualized how you kind of psychologically approach where you want each athlete's mindset at going into a meet like this?
Yeah, 100%. Every athlete's different. Everyone has to prepare in their own way that kind of gets them in the right frame so that they're ready to give their best. Some people, as you heard Simeon just talk about, they really thrive off of the nerves. They embrace it, and it helps make them better. It makes them kind of just more focused and tuned into what they have to do. And other people want to avoid it because they feel like they get too nervous and they're not going to perform well. So it's a very individual piece, and everyone's different in that respect. So we respect all those differences, and we try to get the best out of each person, each student athlete the way we can. But yeah, it's different for all of them.
Well, what's it like managing that as a head coach? I mean, when you got so many different people and,
we have, event area coaches that work specifically with their event area athletes, and everyone kind of manages those pieces the way they need to. And we hear a little bits and pieces from all the coaches. We hear bits and pieces about how, each athlete's doing, and we kind of go from there.
Is there any unique athlete that you've heard about the way that they handle the nerves? I'm just kind of curious that really stood out to you that you're like, that's interesting. I've never heard about that. Or...
No, I've seen it all. I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen the ones that will literally, throw up 3 seconds before they step to the line. And, those who you think they're asleep at the wheel and when they toe the line, and yet you get great performances out of both. So it crosses there's a great divide between, how many different, ways to prepare for a meet.
Have there been some differences competing in the Big Ten this year? Some people have thought maybe there have, but otherwise others believe really it's just you line up and you do your thing.
Yeah, I don't think there's huge differences. I mean, it's the Big Ten is a great conference. We're towing the line as a team, and that was probably not any different than any of the other teams and all the other conferences are doing this weekend as well. There's great competition, obviously great universities. It's a lot of fun. The conference meet is probably, in my opinion, one of the most fun meets to compete in all year, because it's really an opportunity for our program to kind of showcase the depth of athletes from our roster, and a lot of meets you don't get to do that, or you're off chasing standards and you're in different areas and different parts. But this is one where we all get to come together at the same location, compete for that common goal, and team competition is what we love to do. So, I think on the men's side, we're competing 34 student athletes. On the women's side, I think it's 27 or 28. So we're lining up full squads this weekend to compete against, all the other teams.
Jerry, is there anybody competing this weekend who's making their season debuts?
Season debut. Outdoor. I don't think so. I think we were
Connor or Elliot.
Nope, I don't think so. I think everybody who has competed already, or athletes who have competed already, will be lining up. There's nobody that's just opening up.
How do you carry the momentum for the women's side, from that national championship, from that obviously amazing moment for the program?
Yeah, it was great. It'll be tough to do. So, if I look at both the men's and women's sides of the meet, and starting with the women's, with your question, I heard the question about the Triple Crown in the conference, which is really cool and a great opportunity. And obviously, we're not going to shy away from that. We kind of embrace the fact that we're in that position, and we like that. But it's never easy. It's never going to be easy to beat the other great schools in our conference. And when I look at it, as Simeon even said on paper, we're probably not favored to win either the men or the women on paper, but I would say we're one of 3 or 4 schools that can win both the men and women. And just being able to be in that fight and be in that moment, I like the way our team does that. And, if it was as easy as just mailing the trophy based on, your paper score, they could have done that and not brought everybody here to Eugene this weekend. So, we're excited to line everybody up and see what happens.
Is there anything you learned from the indoor Big Ten championships that you kind of take into the outdoor, just having that experience, against a lot of the same athletes, the competitors? What did you learn, and how do you kind of maybe change things into this outdoor championship?
Well, one of the things I learned about our team is that, from the indoor conference, our men and women were phenomenal. They stepped up and they competed lights out. And so there wasn't a hiccup in anything that happened. I mean, it might not be, it wasn't it might not be to perfection that everybody maximized what they could possibly do, but it was pretty darn close. And I like that. When I see a team that can compete like that, when it matters, that gives me a good feeling that we're going to see again, I can't predict if we're going to win or lose on the weekend. That's why we're going to, have the contest, but I do like how we compete. And I think we're going to get the same type of competitive effort this weekend from our student athletes.
Jerry, you got just a ton of talent groups, obviously, but what makes these women's middle distance runners special? What do you and Shalane say?
What makes them special? I mean, they're talented, they're hardworking, they're disciplined, they're focused. They want to. I mean, like you heard from Simeon, like he doesn't like losing. I mean, and I think that's the general feeling I get from all of our student athletes. But that middle distance crew on the women's side is, Claudia was 10th at the Olympic Games. She's a world-class athlete. That's not to put any pressure on her, but she was 10th at the Olympics. She's a world-class athlete, and that's fun to have on your roster.
Was it fun to have a meet like last week where it was kind of, pretty low key, but also at the same time just fun and just like, nice little build up for this week?
Yeah, last week was more about, for us, it was more about for any athletes that we felt needed a little something to just help sharpen up a little bit before the championship season. We found events for them and put them in. It was great to see the rest of the team who wasn't competing. They were in the stands. They were cheering for them. We had senior. I mean, it was a fun night for our team just to be together. And even though everybody wasn't racing, everyone knew the purpose of it and they knew the point of the meet. And it was just good to see everyone together again in the week before. I think it's good to kind of build those bridges heading into the championship season. And that's what we were able to do last weekend.
There were two performances that stood out. I'm sure Maddie was pissed that he didn't break 47 seconds in the open 400. Then your javelin thrower that competed unattached. Will we see him in a uniform this week?
Not this year. Not this year. Yeah. So, starting with Maddie, that 400 was great. I mean, there was, we were trying to figure out, like, can he get under 47? I mean, it's hard to do when you're really kind of an 8:15 guy. So putting him in the open 4, and we talked about it. We said, you're probably flirting right around that area. You might be able to break 47. And so no doubt that would have been, kind of a happier moment. But what did he run? 47.05, I think?
Like 47.04.
Or 4.
It'd be nice to throw the USC guys out there just to kind of push them a little bit.
Yeah, he did a great job in the 400. So we're really happy with that performance. And then competing unattached was, Daniel Durana in the javelin. And that was, I don't know how many of you saw it, but that was he threw 76 meters. And I don't know, he was 3 or 4 meters behind the line when he released the javelin. And so there's still some work to do there, because obviously you don't want to do that. You want to be as close to that line as possible. But obviously we see big things from him next year, so we're pretty excited.
Because he would be like 9th right now in the NCAA.
Yeah, I know. We talk about that all the time. Yeah. So, so it would be fun, but he won't be opening up for us this season. So,
what do you think of the uniforms?
I love the uniforms. What do we call that? Unstoppable yellow.
Kind of a mix between like the original yellow and then just vintage, not vintage, but
No, I think vintage is the right word. It's got that throwback. It's got the throwback look to it and color. Obviously, it's a newer uniform because we were wearing the older model. But at some point it becomes so outdated that they've been worn enough times that you have to but we wanted to keep that same feel, and I think that's what this uniform is, and we'll be competing in that uniform Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the same uniform all 3 days. So that's our team is excited about wearing this uniform. This is kind of our conference uniform, and they're always excited to put this one on. So
the font was totally different compared to the original.
Yeah, it's a little different. Yeah.